Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in here, Publicly Buzzed live on the air, getting ready to start this stream. Thanks for coming in here. Yeah, give it the old share on X if you wouldn't mind. Help us out. Give the stream a like if you're lurking in the back. We're going to go over the indictment that came out today and over some of these details. I will say, you know, warning out the gate, trigger warning. This is going to be a lot. If anybody's already been seeing a lot of this stuff, probably on X, on Twitter, on the socials. So yeah, get prepared, but we're going to be going over this. And yeah, appreciate everyone for being in here. Get ready to go into Friday. Thanks for hanging. Let's go.
Let's rock.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome in here. Publicly Buzzed Live is on the air. Trying to get, hold on. That one thing's kind of weird there. But what's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming here. I got Dan backstage. We're going to be going over, I will say again, I said that in the intro there, but trigger warning on some of the stuff that we're going to be going over. I know a lot of you guys have probably seen on socials today, a lot of the Rex Heuermann stuff that's coming out, and it is pretty wild, pretty grotesque stuff. So just out the gate, and it's only stuff that we're speaking that's in the indictment that we're going to be looking through, but still, just a fair warning on all that. Anyone that may be sensitive, I get it. It's a lot. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, guys. Hit the like, give it a share. Appreciate everybody for coming in here. Let me get Dan back here. He's backstage hanging and banging. Hold on. What's up, dude?
Yo, what's up?
Not much, man. What are you doing?
Chilling. Been hanging out on the deck all evening.
Dude, I know. Those pictures you were seeing were awesome. We got to get that together when we're going to do a little thing.
Yeah.
Get like a cookout going. I'll bring some meat.
I've been enjoying the deck. And I will say,
I want to see the pictures or videos of the first time you get Gigi a bath also.
Everybody needs a little mega deck in their lives. I'll say that right now.
Yeah, dude, that's true. Your deck's huge now
Mega
that it's
deck.
connected.
Oh, yeah.
My God. Dan's got a mega deck.
Mega deck.
He's swinging that thing about.
Just fucking, it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. You don't mess around, guys.
Wraps
Everybody
around the
hanging
whole
out.
house, pretty much.
It really is, dude. Yeah, like, does it connect to wrap around to the front porch too?
3 sides of the house are completely wrapped in.
Whoa, dude, that's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy. Do the front. Get it all, baby. Just stare at the people driving by.
Yeah, the road.
Yeah, the road's right on your house.
There are mini decks on the front though, where like with the wind at the windows. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but there's mini decks at the front.
I don't know if I have. I'm gonna have to look at that next time.
Little
I
mini
never
decks.
really hung out at the front.
You can't get on them. Like there's no access point, but they're.
Wait, what? They're
These
barred off.
sentences are killing me. No, well, like you'd have to climb over and get on them. Like there's no, or if you took the windows out, you could just fucking hop on them. But hop on them decks. But at the moment, I mean, they just sit out there. I think they had them. They were pre-built. You know, they were already with the house. I think they were there for like putting plants on and stuff like that.
Wow. Okay, that's freaking crazy. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to look next time because I did not notice at all.
Yeah, little mini decks at the front of.
Real quick, for some reason, and this happened on another stream, and it ended up just working. So I don't know, maybe if it's something weird going on, but I can't bring the chats up right now to like pop up on screen. But Dixie came through here. I hit it like I was going to pop it up, but Dixie Parrish came through here, and Buzzed and Confused leveled up on us here. So thank you for coming through here and becoming a member tonight. Appreciate that, Dixie. I'll give you a little love anyways, even though I can't pop it up on the screen. I don't know what it happened on another stream. And then the next time I came up, I was like, oh, it's going to be something. I'm going to have to sit down and really figure it out. And it was just working. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it goes down randomly. I keep trying to, like, I did a refresh. I don't know. It's probably going to keep annoying me though. But tonight we're going to be going through this indictment, guys. And I literally keep hitting chats in here like they're going to pop right up. That's hilarious. Like, it's like just a tick in me now. When I see them, I'm like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Brooklyn said it though there in the chat. Trigger warning, guys. The bill affidavit contains explicit description of graphic violence and sexual assault.
Oh,
please,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, this thing is insane.
please do what you can to protect your mental health. This one's crazy. Mandy in the house, CW in the house, Jay in the house, Pokemon, Shelly in the house, Carrie. Got a crew in here. Thank you guys. Phil in the house, Catcrow, Wildside, Dizzy. Welcome in here, everybody. Gabby, Tony Bailey, Brooklyn. Yes, like I said, I love you guys. Thank y'all so much. We're going to jump right in here. But yes, holy shit, Dan. I know you were watching earlier with Jay and Bob.
Yeah, that's all I've seen. I haven't read through it myself, but Jay was reading through it, and I mean, and Jay's right. I mean, this is what nightmares are made of. This is what monsters have nightmares about.
He had a great tweet.
Rex Heuermann. I mean, it's insane, man.
Dude, and at one point while I was listening to it live, I started writing this out in real time for a tweet, and I missed a few, but hold on, I do want to show this. This is insane. Get here, I've been tweeting crazy. Okay, here we go. Right here. The police have discovered 27 computers, 22 external hard drives, 46 cell phones, 44 SD cards, 17 tablets, 42 USB devices, 4 GPS devices, 36 SIM cards, 647 CD floppy disks.
You know what stands out? Well, the 647 CD floppy disk is insane, but you know what really stands out to me right there? 46 cell phones.
That's crazy.
He was keeping all of these burners.
Yeah, dude.
Why was he keeping them?
Yeah, man. Like, were they somehow a
Little
trophy to
trophies?
him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would
Like-
he keep that? The point of a burner phone is to get rid of it.
Yeah,
It has
dude.
no tie to you, but he had 46
actually
cell
kept it.
phones. That's
Do it.
insane.
Yeah, dude. It doesn't. It's absolute madness. When that was being read off during the press conference, I was like, "Fuck, this is going to be so much darker and deeper than we even I think know."
Do you not hear me that well, by the way?
What?
Do I need to? Because when I talk, you were like, you act like it.
I can hear you
Am
good.
I coming through? Okay.
Yeah. I think maybe I was saying something there too, and I
Gotcha.
I'm not real sure though. But
I
yeah,
was
there
double
was.
checking.
But yeah, I got you.
But I mean, if you look at all of that, 27 computers. Who in this chat owns 27 computers?
27 computers stands out pretty hardcore too. Actually,
We're talking laptops, PCs. I mean, I wonder if
17 tablets.
he did work in a huge office, and that was that his office that his firm, his architect firm, or did he work for a bigger company?
I'm not sure if he owned it or how that worked.
Or maybe I don't know. I wonder where those computers come from. Obviously, his office, his home, and he had another home, I believe, as well, right? In South Carolina.
Well, his brother lived in South Carolina.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So I wonder where all did this all come from, like his office and home?
Yeah, dude. That's a good question. I
Bunch
don't.
of laptops and stuff from his office. 22 external hard drives is also insane. I don't own 22 fucking hard drives. That's crazy.
And what are the sizes of those hard drives?
Yeah. 44 SD cards is more explainable, right? People who are like photo buffs, video buffs, they might have a lot of external SD. 44 is a lot, but they might have a lot just because they like to take a lot of pictures.
I think about it as
more explainable.
Well, I mean, I guess if you kind of relate that to 46 phones, but I was almost maybe putting that even into victim phones, victim SD cards.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, some of these could be victim belongings.
Like, I don't think we'll ever truly know the number unless he starts spilling the beans, like trying to get some kind of weird deal.
I got to be honest, you just blew my mind a little bit.
save his life.
I didn't think about any of these items belonging to victims potentially.
Yeah, dude, that's how I was. I was thinking about it both ways, but I still that kind of crossed my mind that like these could be victim cell phones or SD cards or tablets for all we know.
17 tablets. I'm just going through them one by one here. 17 tablets is completely insane.
Yeah. Weird as shit.
Who has 17 tablets? 42 USB devices. Again, along with the SD cards, is more explainable.
Yeah.
It's still a very
Like
large
storage.
number. A very large number. Like, I mean, I'm a computer geek, and I have maybe 5 or 6 USB storage devices. He's got 42. 4 GPS, definitely. That one's not a big deal.
That one's not as
explainable.
weird. Yeah.
And matter of fact, the cell phones are probably also GPS devices, so that's interesting. And then 36 SIM cards, which again, that goes along with the phones.
Yeah,
and
large weird number.
647 CD floppy disks.
So here's my question on that one.
What is a CD floppy disk? That's my question.
So is this like the old school, like CD floppy disk from back in the day?
I don't think so. I don't think those terms are interchangeable. I think CDs, disk, and floppy disk are two different things. What is a CD floppy?
Let me just Google it.
So maybe they called floppy disks.
Yeah. This is literally what I was picturing here. So like,
yeah, no, that's just a floppy disk. And as you see there, it says floppy disk in the Wikipedia. It doesn't say CD floppy disk. They're kind of assuming. I'm not sure what they mean.
That could be misspoken as well. Like while he was reading it out, it could be miswritten. I just am taking floppy disks as being old as fuck, and I bet this goes back into the fucking 80s.
Floppy disks preceded CDs by a long
shot.
I
did earlier Google when they really stopped using floppy disk, and like they basically put that to 2011. I thought that was really late for floppy disks.
I mean, you can still to this day buy a floppy drive if you want it for your computer. But I mean, they kind of went out of style in the, I would say, early 2000s to the 2010s, early 2010s.
Yeah.
But I mean I built a computer in 2013, and I didn't put a CD drive or a floppy drive in it because everything was downloadable at that time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's all changed really fast. Like, first time I got a computer was 2005, and you still needed the CD drive.
Yeah, exactly. Floppy disk kind of went out of style really in the early 2000s.
There we go.
Like,
Laura,
completely,
I used, and Laura might have just nailed it, what you were even just touching upon. I used floppy disk in college, 99 to 03. Mm-hmm. That was probably right when the shift was happening.
When they were dying.
Because when I got into college was 2005, and, the first time I really needed a computer
Did you have a floppy on that computer?
I didn't, no. If I remember correctly, I didn't. There was no floppy. It was just a CD DVD deal.
Yeah, they kind of stopped producing them. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. They stopped kind of installing them on new computers in the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah, Jay, yep, and his priorities were guns and killing. Like, for real, dude. Like, this is about we're going to jump in here, though.
Man, I was texting Stevie when, I was watching, Bob and Jay earlier, and when Jay was going through this stuff, and I was texting Stevie, and I was like, dude, are you watching this?
Yeah.
And dude, because it was blowing my mind. It was actually, I'm actually glad they paused the Karen retrial to go over it. Because
me too.
It was very interesting to me.
Insane. Like, this is actually crazy.
I was like, this guy was a fucking pro. Like,
dude,
meticulous, like, before, like, how to prepare.
What's fucking
post-crime
scary to think about in that regard is, like, how successful really is he, right? Mm-hmm. Because you see these fucking notes, you see that he had this thing down to a science, however the fuck you want to look at it. Yep. And we have all of these victims that they're already talking about, right? He's not tied to all of these victims. He's not tied to all these bodies. We probably can presume that he did it, but he's not tied to them with any DNA yet. Some of them are, right? So, like, how many more are there other than the ones he's actually tied to, even beyond the other names that we know that are not tied to him, for, with actual DNA evidence right now?
Yeah, there's
like,
more.
That's what's freaky to me. And then if you get into Vegas, you get into Virginia, you're getting all these like hunting grounds that it's essentially what was happening. Like, I think this is going to get so much darker, but the question is going to be, will he go if you think, I mean, we're all true crime. We've been watching true crime our whole lives. Everybody here in the chat, we look at these serial killers. We study this stuff. Of course, there's experts, and I love to get the expert opinions and stuff, but we all can kind of see where a lot of this goes. And if you look at people like BTK Killer, and lasted a long fucking time before he actually got killed, even though he's, however you want to look at it, he didn't kill for the last 15, 20 years, whatever. that they say. Who knows? We have no way of actually knowing that. But if you look at him in court, in the actual trial, he is getting off on telling great detail about what he did to these young ladies.
Yep.
So are we going to get to a point to where Rex Heuermann wants to accept this credit to be the king of this bullshit? Because a lot of these guys have this ego that they want stroked at the end of the day. And I think ultimately he's going to probably ride this out for as long as he can until he eventually starts talking and this gets really fucking dark and he starts saying, hey, look at how many fucking numbers I got, because the ego's going to start rearing its ugly fucking head with these mental cases, dude. Like,
Yep.
it's going to get so dark, dude. And like, yeah, when all this was breaking down earlier with Jay and Bob, man, it was like a gut punch, because you can, I don't know why, man. And I always think about this, you know, how many of these fucking people out here don't get actually busted? And I'm not going to go down that road deeply, but it's still, that's the first thing that always pops in my head. I'm like, dude, this guy went for decades. This guy passed people on the street. You ate beside him in fucking McDonald's. Like,
Hate to give him credit, but he was smart.
he honestly seems smarter. Like, I don't, you know, I ain't putting any kind of fucking credit on this guy. He was shittily successful, but dude, at the end of the day, it looks like he studied John Douglas, right? Fucking like he was studying probably even BTK and these serial killers. Hell, I don't know, man. Like, and it probably goes way deeper than that, because BTK wasn't caught into the early 2000s. So, and he was potentially even into the 80s and 90s. So, I mean, we're talking even like Bundy, and I don't know, man. It's fucking so dark, dude.
It's scary. It's so scary. It's scary to think about. Like you said, people. There's probably other people. How many other people are out there like this? This is terrifying.
It is. We're gonna jump in here. Yeah, Dan, you want to help me read through this? We'll take turns.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, let's go here. Today, defendant Rex Heuermann stands before this court charged by the grand jury in another superseding indictment, which incorporates each and every one of the above counts as well as the additional charges. And I'm jumping through here just a little bit. He was kind of just going through some of the stuff that we already knew. I'm going from today. Murder in the second degree in violation of the New York State penal law, a Class A violent felony for the death of Jessica Taylor on or about or July 21st to 26th, 2003. It's been a while since I've read through one of these in affidavits also. Murder in the second degree in violation of New York State penal law. Is that an A1 felony or an AI? I think it's A1. I don't think it's a felony of the death of Sandra Costillo on or about in between. Is it I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On or about between, or excuse me, Sandra Costillo on or about in between November 19th to 20th. And this is the crazy one, 1993. This puts a whole nother fucking decade that we can now for surely absolutely put with Rex Heuermann as killing in. Yeah, before it was just, you know, we just talked about it.
And we're at 30 years. And how old is this guy?
60, I think.
Man. So started at 30. I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. I suspect there's earlier victims. There may not be. 30 is like, does seem like one of those turning point years where maybe this is where shit flipped in his head. Like, he was probably already had these sadistic thoughts. Right. And then like 30 was maybe that turning point in his life where he would thought maybe he could act on it. Because you're fair. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to get into a psychology thing, and I'm not a psychologist, so.
No, I like the way you're thinking, because I think about that as well. And I think, you know, just from reading a shit ton about serial killers, I think usually, I mean, these dudes start acting early, like young childhood, teens, early 20s. They do, yeah. So that's what I'm kind of putting in just in reference with how old he is, and it probably even goes beyond the 80s. I mean, allegedly. I'm just throwing shit out there right now, guys. Like, I have nothing factual except what we're reading right now. We have the actual victims that are tied by DNA, but I'm still going to give my opinion and think that this fucking guy is going to be one of the deepest and darkest holes we're going to find. We're
working through it. We're thinking about a time we're trying to put we're trying to make sense of it is the most basic way to put it.
100%, yeah.
And trying to figure out, like, where could there possibly have been earlier? Of course there possibly could have, but like, would it make sense for there to
right? Yeah, you want it to can you logically
connect it,
tie it together? Yeah. The people filed a written bail application at Rex Heuermann's initial arraignment, which occurred on July 14, 2023, as well as defendant's arraignment on the initial superseding indictment, which occurred on January 16, 2024. Those applications are annexed herito as Exhibit A, probably butchered that. On July 14, 2023, the Honorable Richard Ambrose ordered that defendant Rex A. Heuermann be remanded without bail. The matter was subsequently adjourned to August 1st, 2023, before Honorable Timothy P. Mazzei. I've heard it said. I know that's not right, but on August 1st, 2023, in the ensuing appearance that have followed, this court has continued to remand the defendant without bail. Set forth below is the people's bail application in support of the new superseding indictment, which will expand on additional inventory developments. Evidentiary developments in this investigation, now charging defendant Heuermann with the murders of 2 additional victims, Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla. Based on defendant Heuermann's indictment on additional murder charges as it pertains to now a 5th and 6th victim, the serious and heinous nature of these serial murderers, the planning and forethought that went into these crimes, the strength of the people's case, and the length of incarceration the defendant faces upon a conviction, the extended period of time that this defendant was able to avoid apprehension, and the remaining facts set forth herein and contained within Exhibit A, the people remain steadfast that the only means to ensure defendant Rex A. Heuermann's return to court is to remand him without bail. The 2003 and 2011 discovery of human remains of Jessica Taylor on or about July 26, 2003, an individual whose identity is known to law enforcement as Witness 1 was walking her dog just west of Halsey Manor Road, Manorville, Suffolk County, New York. At this time, Witness 1 observed what appeared to be human remains, which prompted him or her to call 911. Upon arrival, members of the SCPD observed the remains of a female later identified as Jessica Taylor. Ms. Taylor was found lying on her back with her legs bent underneath her. Notably, the victim was decapitated and both of Mrs. Taylor's arms had been severed from her body below the elbows. Moreover, a tattoo on the victim's torso had been severely obliterated by a sharp object. Investigators believe the mutilation of the victim's tattoo, decapitation of her head, and dismembered of Miss Taylor's arms were acts perpetrated by Rex A. Heuermann. The identification of the victim via facial recognition, fingerprints, and or tattoo identification during the initial investigation in Manorville in 2003. The victim's head, arms, and hands were not found at the scene, and their location remained unknown to law enforcement for approximately 8 years. On March 29, 2011, Ms. Taylor's skull, hands, and forearm were discovered along Ocean Parkway, just east of Gilgo Beach, Suffolk County, New York. Notably, Ms. Taylor's remains were located on the same side of the road from where Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello, the Gilgo Four, had been found just several months prior in December 2010. Each of the Gilgo Four victims, as well as the skull, hands, and forearm of Ms. Taylor, was recovered on the same side of the road and at a depth of within 50 feet from the edge of the parkway. Furthermore, Ms. Taylor's remains were located less than a mile from where Gilgo Four were discovered. Hereinafter, spaces left intentionally blank. Oh,
that's the same hotel that Jay and Shannon went to, and Jay busted the door open.
Yeah, that video is insane. Actually, earlier on Twitter, I just did I searched Rex Heuermann on the media portion of Twitter. I was just looking for some stuff, and that video pops up pretty high still. Dude, Jay going to the hotel.
That was one of the more intense Jay streams I've ever seen in my life, and I'm glad I was there live. That shit was... I was, like, scared. I was... dude, it was terrifying.
I felt it in my gut.
And Jay fucking knocks that door open, and there's stuff inside as if someone's living there. Dude, my heart dropped. I was afraid like, somebody was going to be hiding in that bathroom. Yeah. I was in chat I was like, dude, you get out of there. What are you doing?
Yeah, dude, that was intense. That was very intense. That was crazy. He is a man's man. You're damn right. He was on the scene.
It was so worth it, though, honestly, because it was a moment.
That was a huge moment for JBN in general. Cool. Those streams were huge, and they were, dude, that was a big moment for Jay.
I wouldn't recommend it, but it worked.
I wouldn't recommend ever doing that again. That was a spontaneous, had to be their moment.
Dude, but yeah, they were just walking around, and Jay was just like fucking walking around, like he didn't seem scared at all.
He just now put in the
he
chat,
just-
honestly, the back of the hotel was scarier than the room, to be
Yeah.
honest. And when he
The whole
walked
thing
back
was
there, I felt the
terrifying.
same energy of, dude, there's going to be somebody hiding behind a
Yep.
trap. Dude, I actually felt that scene from that one David Lynch movie. I think it's Mulholland Drive. When there's a homeless guy behind the dumpster outside the restaurant.
Oh yeah.
That's the creepiest shit. I was like, that's going to be happening any second.
I thought I for sure thought he was gonna run into somebody like passed out or shooting up or something like that.
Yeah, that would have fit. Perfect. Or murdering, for the love of God. You want to rock this one, Dan?
Sure. Information relevant to the disappearance of Jessica Taylor. Jessica Taylor was last seen on or about July 19th, 2003 in New York City. Well, I can't read if that's up.
Sorry.
The investigation to this date has established that in July 2003, Miss Taylor was working as a sex worker in the area of Midtown Manhattan. This is ties right into Rex's MO. On July 21st, 2003, and at approximately 8:41 p.m., Miss Taylor utilized her cellular phone, hereinafter the Taylor phone, to speak to her mother. Based on witness interviews and an analysis of telephone records, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has learned that the two spoke for approximately 7 minutes. During that call, Miss Taylor had arranged to visit her mother on July 25th, 2003 in Poughkeepsie, New York, for her mother's birthday. Less than 2 hours later, at approximately 10:22 p.m., the Taylor phone placed an outgoing call, which lasted approximately 2 minutes. Thereafter, the Taylor phone records reveal no further outgoing. I need the next page.
Sorry about that.
No further outgoing calls or accepted incoming calls. On or about July 25th, 2003, when her daughter failed to arrive at her Poughkeepsie residence or answer any phone calls, Miss Taylor's mother notified law enforcement. At the time of Miss Taylor's disappearance, Rex A. Heuermann worked in the same vicinity as where Miss Taylor was known to street walk, quote unquote, i.e., work as a sex worker. Records seized during the execution of prior search warrants reveal Heuermann was in fact present in Midtown Manhattan on July 21st, 2003, the same date Miss Taylor disappeared. On July 26, 2003, and in the days thereafter, members of the SCPD canvassed the area around Halsey Manor Road, Manorville, and in the vicinity of where Miss Taylor's remains had been found. As a result, investigators spoke to a witness who had, on July 25th, 2003, at approximately 10:30 p.m., observed a dark-colored Chevrolet pickup truck backed into the same wooded area that Miss Taylor's body was later found. Based upon their investigation, law enforcement determined that these observations would have occurred approximately 13 hours before witness one's 911 call. Notably, the investigation to date has established that defendant Heuermann purchased a 2002 dark-colored Chevrolet Avalanche pickup truck on or about March 22nd, 2002, from Ramp Chevrolet in Port Jefferson Station, New York. I think we're going to get into some interesting stuff here because I heard about it earlier. Accordingly, on July 25th, 2003, at 10:30 p.m., defendant Heuermann would have been in possession of a vehicle matching the description of the one observed in the vicinity of where Miss Taylor's remains had been found on Halsey Manor Road. A forensic analysis of Rex A. Heuermann's, I always fuck up his name. Like I have to say it twice. I always I always stutter on his name.
I don't even know if I say it right. Is it Heuermann?
It's so weird. I think
I've heard other people slightly say it differently too.
I always stutter on his name though because like my brain reads it and it can't really read it.
It's a weird fucking name.
You know what I mean?
I've never seen this name before now.
It's so weird. But I think I know how to say it. I think it's like Heuermann.
Heuermann, yeah, that's how I say it.
But when I read it, like my brain doesn't see it as Heuermann. It sees it as
Heuermann.
Right? It's
Heuermann.
Anyway, let me keep going.
Heuermann.
A forensic analysis of Rex A. Heuermann's digital devices also revealed the following. That on or about July 28, 2003, Rex A. Heuermann accessed a Newsday article entitled "Cops Seek Help in IDing Manorville Body" regarding the discovery of Miss Taylor's human remains. That online activity was subsequently deleted And on or about July 29th, 2003, Rex A. Heuermann conducted an internet search for a new Chevrolet Avalanche, despite his 2002 Avalanche just being over 1 year old. And the analysis further shows that Heuermann also attempted to delete the search for a new vehicle. Notably, this activity occurred just days after Miss Taylor was discovered and just days after a witness observed a vehicle matching the physical description of Heuermann leaving the scene. Now that is crazy. This guy finds out that he was seen leaving a scene and his vehicle was ID'd and goes on the internet to find, interestingly enough, the exact same vehicle, just a different color.
Yeah.
So he loved that truck.
Yeah, dude. He wanted to keep the same truck.
I want this truck. I just need the fuck. What about a paint job, though?
He's like, I just need a whole new truck.
I mean, wouldn't a paint job be cheaper than a whole new truck?
Maybe he's thinking of the DNA inside that truck, and once that's gone, he can. That's just a new truck. I mean,
hey, that's another. I didn't think about that because I was thinking about him just trying to conceal the truck itself, but not the DNA inside.
I bet there's some DNA in that truck. And now he knows that they're looking for a truck like that. Man, if they pull me over, because remember his notes, stops are one of the things that are going to hurt me. So he is smart and he's thinking about that. But what I find interesting here is this 2003. So this is the brink of technology really starting to happen, right? Like this is an early fuck up here. Like right here, they've captured that he searched and deleted something in 2003.
They have this information.
Like this is nuts. Like
I can't believe they have this information. 20 years later.
Yeah, dude.
I want to know, how did they get this information? Like, where was this? Was this on like an old hard drive?
Maybe. Maybe he kept it, right? It almost had to have, dude.
Well, internet searches. I mean, he tried to delete it, but the thing is, like, I mean, did he like change out a hard drive? And it was just like, because if I change out my hard drive right now, well, actually, everything's in the cloud now, so it's different.
It's different now.
Back then,
things
were stored locally on your hard drive, like your searches and stuff. So maybe it was like on an old hard drive.
If he's got 27 computers, they're going through these computers, right? He's got however many hard drives. I bet he did keep this shit, dude. These are from old computers. They're probably scouring these things.
I seriously doubt that Google has 20-year-old searches for you. Because imagine the amount of data for the amount of users they have. If they had to keep all of that on servers, that's a lot of
space.
Dude,
it has to be him keeping a computer or a hard drive and them literally doing the legwork and finding this shit now. I mean, they've had a year now, right? And we're just now getting even. I mean, dude, this is actually only going to grow more. Like,
because even when, as far as I know, and even how like memory works, like let's say local computer memory. You delete something, let's say you have a file, like we're going to get into, he has Word documents and things like that. If you have a Word document on your computer where you plan out some nefarious shit and you don't want people to find it, so you delete it, right? That document is not deleted, as most of us probably know, being court viewers and things like that. True crime enthusiasts. You probably know that stuff's not deleted because you've seen it in other trials. But what happens is it's reserved space for new data. So you delete your file, it's gone from your computer, like you can't see it in your wherever it was stored. It's gone from there. It's in your recycle bin, first of all.
Right.
And then you empty your recycle bin, you think it's gone forever.
It's not really gone.
It's not gone. It's still on the hard drive, but that is space that is labeled to be rewritten over. So eventually, new data will write over that, and it will be permanently gone. Right. So it's interesting that and he has how many was it? 27?
27 computers,
laptops, and was there other computers besides laptops?
Now I will admit, when I was writing that out, I missed a few things, but I did hear the 27 computers, 17 tablets. But tablets are different; those are newer. So
I wonder if he was storing old computers away because
dude, I think that's what he was doing.
This one's got nefarious shit on it. So
dude, I think that's what he was. Honestly, that's what in my head is happening. I bet he's like, I'm keeping this. I don't want this even out there in a dumpster for anybody else to be able to access it. He's that paranoid already. Like we know he's worried. Like he's worried 20 years ago.
He didn't want to risk. He wanted to put it away in a dark room somewhere where hopefully no one would ever look for it. I think that's what he did.
I think that's what he did.
That's why he had so fucking many.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Let's go here. Finally, while the make and model of the vehicle Heuermann searched for is the same as his 2002 vehicle, Chevrolet Avalanche pickup truck, the exterior is different. A rival blue, as well as another in Summit White, which are significantly brighter exterior paint offerings by Chevrolet, which compared to Heuermann's dark green 2002 Chevrolet
And we already
Avalanche.
know law enforcement, if they have a color of a vehicle, they zero in on it.
Yeah.
They I don't even think they really look at anything else, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're going to zero in on that one color. So he was on the right track. Like
He was smart
to
instantly.
and he has the money. He had a good job.
Yeah.
He has the money to immediately replace his vehicle, even though it does look suspicious. If they don't know he exists yet,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's not.
How many other people own Avalanches that are trading them in? I mean, I don't like this one.
And is that something law enforcement ever looks at?
Right.
Do they
That's
look
another
at
good question.
Trade-ins and things like that, right?
That's a good question.
They're looking at
because they're looking at that
current
color. They're looking at what they know now. And dude, they're honestly not thinking about someone as sophisticated. And I hate to use that word because I'm not trying to give him any kind of credit, but he did his legwork. So they're not looking for somebody that's like really like looking for them, looking for him.
I'm going to debunk his thought work for a second because I guarantee they're looking for people who owned a vehicle at that time, the time of the sighting. You know what I mean? Which he would have still shown up, I would think, right? In that search.
Yeah.
Or do they have that? Do they do that kind of history? Because like if they searched, let's say 2 weeks pass by and they found out that there was a black or a dark colored, Chevy Avalanche, are they looking for current owners? Current Chevy Avalanche owners, and maybe he's already gotten rid of it a week ago,
right?
And that he doesn't actually.
I bet
show
they're
up.
hoping, or not, maybe not hoping, or maybe just hoping that they're not what he is, right? Like they're not looking this deep. Like they're hopefully just a shitty criminal.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Hairs recovered from the remains of Jessica Taylor. During the course of this investigation, Ms. Taylor's body was examined by a forensic scientist with the Suffolk County Crime Laboratory, which, and from here on out, it would be SCCL, which revealed that Ms. Taylor has been decapitated, dismembered at her arms below her elbows, and revealed irregular disruption of the victim's nipples and the obliteration of her tattoo during the examination of, and that was in his notes too, to fuck up markings, right? Like, so they can't identify these women. During the examination of Ms. Taylor's body, a male human hair was recovered, specifically from a surgical drape that had been underneath the victim. A subsequent examination of the male hair underneath Taylor led to the determination that it was a human head hair of a Caucasian European characteristics. However, it was based on the DNA testing capabilities at the SCCL, unsuitable for further DNA testing at the time. We've gotten better with DNA over time.
I will ask this, and I don't know the answer, but I think I know the answer. He didn't like completely mutilate these, like he didn't knock teeth out, cut off fingerprint. He didn't do anything crazy to try to stop identification, right? In terms of like that, like he didn't try to destroy dental record. You know what I mean?
I think he stabbed him in the face. Like there's tons of stab wounds, and like I think some of that's in here. But I mean, in his actual notes, he writes that he wanted to, like, he would fuck up a tattoo or something. He didn't want them to be identified that way.
But there's fucking dental records. Like,
but I mean, yeah, the dental records. Yeah, I don't know.
Fingerprints.
Yeah, fingerprints for sure.
Like
yeah, that part is kind of weird.
Tattoos is literally the last way they're gonna.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
As smart as he is, you would like. Why would he be concerned with tattoos?
Where was that here? On or about August 24, 2003, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a cutting of a male hair underneath Taylor to an outside forensic laboratory.
Oh, wait, hang on. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm sorry. So he cut the head and hands off. Did he put those in different locations?
Yeah, that's right. No, he moves those away from the body. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. That was his attempt.
He is mutilating them, decapitating them, cutting their hands off, and moving them to a different location. Yeah,
so instead of destroying the teeth or cutting off fingers or something, he would cut the hands and head off and then put them in a different location.
Right. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep. Which specialized in mitochondrial analysis. On or about February 1st, 2024, Forensic Laboratory Number 2 issued a report concluding that the mitochondrial DNA profile developed from the male hair underneath Taylor and the profile developed from defendant's buccal swab are the same, specifically at a rate that would, as per the EMPOP database, include 99.96% of the North American population as the contributor of said hair recovered underneath the decapitated and dismembered remains of Jessica Taylor, while 99.96% of the North American population can be excluded as the contributor of the male hair underneath Taylor. Defendant Heuermann cannot be excluded as the contributor of the said hair. On or about March 8th, 2024, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a cutting of a male hair underneath Taylor and a DNA extract of Heuermann's buccal swab to an outside independent laboratory, which applies DNA techniques and direct genome sequencing in difficult to solve forensic casework and the identification of human remains. On or about April 29, 2024, Forensic Laboratory Number 1 issued a report indicating it had developed a nuclear DNA profile for only the male hair underneath Taylor, but also from Rex Heuermann's buccal swab. Forensic Laboratory Number 1 was then able to conduct a one-on-one autosomal.
Oh, I got lost. Where? Autosomal?
Autosomal nuclear DNA. That one got me hard. Comparison between
I'm not even
said
sure
profile.
if I'm right.
That one's a weird one. Developed from a male hair underneath Taylor to Rex Heuermann's S&P genotype file, which resulted in the conclusion that the DNA profile generated from the male hair underneath Taylor is 1.837 times 10 times more likely to have come from a person.
Hang on, no, we got to clarify this. 1.837 times 10 to the 630.
Oh shit, yeah.
That is, and that's what the guy was talking about during the press conference today. That is 1.837 move the decimal point to the right 603 times. I mean, there's not a fucking number. Like, we don't know. You can't say that number.
Yeah.
What do you got? You got billion, you got million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, petillion, or however it goes, sextillion, septillion, that's octillion. That's as far as I can go.
Yeah, dude.
That number is way larger than that. You know what I mean? We don't have a word. I don't think we have a word.
603 times. That is pretty crazy.
So I actually think it's hilarious that how these numbers are, because I don't know if you remember, but during the Brian Koberger debacle about these kinds of numbers, where they were like, well, how could you come up with a figure like that when there's only 7 billion people on the planet?
Right.
Like there's only 7 billion people, so how is it possible for 1 in 1.8 some googillion, some made up
number, yeah.
When there's only 7 billion people, it should be 1 in 7 billion. It shouldn't be 1 in this made up number.
Right.
But I mean, that they're just showing how astronomically insane
impossible. This is the dude.
Well, listen. They're showing how insanely huge the pool would have to be to find another person that would potentially have the same.
Right.
Like it's not only is it impossible, it's like universally impossible. Like, if you took, like, let's imagine there were creatures on every planet in our solar system, and there was like, all of those, 7, 8, 10 billion people on every single planet, you still wouldn't find another person
right
with the same DNA. I mean, it's impossible.
It's insane.
Not only is it impossible, it's astronomically impossible.
Yeah, dude, it is crazy. I'm glad you said that, actually. More likely to have come from a person genetically identical to Rex Heuermann's S&P genotype file.
In other, like Bob said earlier,
an unrelated individual. Impossible.
When the press conference was going on, Bob said, in other words, this is the guy. That's really all that means. Like, there's no chance he's not the guy.
Yeah. Based on the foregoing, it is significant that 2 forensic laboratories have now independently determined that the aforementioned hair recovered from the surgical drape underneath the remains of Jessica Taylor are subsequently more likely to have derived from a person genetically identical to defendant Heuermann's mitochondrial and nuclear profiles, which provides further support that Rex A. Heuermann murdered, dismembered, decapitated, and transported the remains of Jessica Taylor to Manorville in Gilgo Beach until the victim's remains were ultimately discovered in 03 and 11. I'll let you rock one here.
I just noticed. So I want to know the guy's name. Do you know the guy's name who did the press conference today?
I do. I have to do some Googling, but I can get it real quick.
Because I thought that he like had it prepared, but it's literally a footnote on the document he was reading from. Look at it; it's right there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
He actually read it incorrectly.
I hope he had it written on his hand too.
The first one, so this number that right here, the 1.837 times 10 to the 603rd, he read it incorrectly. If you go back and watch it, you'll see that I'm correct. He read it as 63.
Yeah. Raymond A. Tyranny.
So Mr. Tyranny, is he sergeant or captain or captain probably?
Probably. Hold on, I don't see his actual thing in front of me. I just did like a quick Google to see.
Well, regardless.
The commissioner, yeah, he's the acting police.
Oh, there you go.
That's
perfect,
right.
Perfect. Yeah, that actually makes more sense. So Commissioner Tyranny, he read it incorrectly. He said you take 1.837 and you move the decimal point 63. What he said is 63 places to the right, but that is incorrect. You move it 603 places.
Oh, okay. He butchered it actually,
dude. He made it way smaller, which is still an insane number, by the
way.
Yeah. But he made it significantly times 10 actually smaller than it needed to be. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. Times 10. Times 10 smaller than it needed to be. But he did get the second one correct because there's another one that comes up later. He did get that one correct. That one was like times 10 to the 300 and something.
He's like us reading this. He's like, what? That's just doesn't make no fucking sense at all.
And if you go back and watch, you'll see what I'm saying. Because I called it immediately. I was like, I don't think that's right. He said to the 603rd power, but then he said move the decimal place 63 places. That's not. Anyway, and the footnote even there says 600 zeros.
Yeah, right. Even after it's like, and that is 600. Just to be clear.
Yeah, I'll do the next one.
Get it, boy.
I just thought that was an interesting tidbit.
Super fucking interesting. Yeah, I was listening to that live.
It's not important at all because both numbers are astronomical. Yeah, but
still interesting though.
So I'm going
top,
to
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Heuermann's family travel.
So Heuermann's family travel in relation to the disappearance of Jessica Taylor. As part of the ongoing investigation, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has also established that Heuermann's wife and children were out of state at the time of Miss Taylor's disappearance and murder. A consistent theme. All right, so at the time of her disappearance and murder, a consistent theme attributable. God, that word's gonna fuck me up. That's not a word I use very often.
You nailed that one though.
Attributable to the defendant for each of the charge. Well, I stuttered on it 3 or 4 times before I nailed it. I'll say accredited. A consistent theme accredited to the defendant for each of the charged homicides thus far, which would have allowed the defendant unfettered time and opportunity to execute these crimes. Specifically, in 2002 to 2003, defendant Heuermann's daughter, Victoria, was a kindergarten student at the McKenna Elementary School located in Massapequa Park, New York. At the time, Victoria was classmates with an individual whose identity is also known to law enforcement, hereinafter known as Witness 2. Based on post-arrest interviews with Witness, including Witness 2's family and Victoria Heuermann, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has learned that at the conclusion of the kindergarten school year, Miss Ellerup and her 2 children vacationed with Witness 2's family from on or about July 20th, 2003 through on or about July 27, 2003 at Smuggler's Notch Resort, which is located in Jeffersonville, Vermont. Rex A. Heuermann did not attend this trip. These witness accounts have been corroborated via telephone records and electronic data seized during the execution of the July 2023 search warrants. For example, agents of the Gilgo Homicide Task Force seized AT&T records which detail calls made to and from the Heuermann residence in July 2003. These records show that during the aforementioned family vacation, the landline telephone associated with the Heuermann residence, which was located at 105 First Avenue, Massapequa Park, New York, hereinafter known as Target Residence, made several phone calls to a telephone number bearing an 802 area code. Further investigation has tied this phone number to Smuggler's Notch Resort. Thus, investigators believe defendant Heuermann made these calls from the target residence in Massapequa Park to his family staying in Jeffersonville, Vermont. And here we can see
how expensive these long distance calls are too.
Oh, you remember how that shit was?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy though.
That's how they got people. The long distance shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got 3 calls to Jeffersonville, Vermont.
July
70 cents, 560, 328. Doesn't gives you the time that it happened. Oh yeah, 2 minutes, 16 minutes, 16 minutes. Yep. And the Gilgo Homicide Task Force also seized phone records accredited to Heuermann's Manhattan. I can't say attributable. Attributable? It's attributable. That's what it is.
Attributable.
I want to say attributable for some reason. It's attributable.
Okay.
It's fucking hard to say, especially when you've been drinking a couple beers. To Heuermann's Manhattan business, RH Consultants and Associates. Okay, yeah, so that was his business. That's where he worked. These records further corroborate Heuermann's stay in New York, and the family's travel to Jeffersonville, Vermont as Heuermann's work. Landline makes numerous calls during the same week of July 20th through 27th, 2003, from Manhattan, New York, to the Smuggler's Notch Resort. We can see all those. We got like a 1.3, 3.1, 5.5, 1.1, 2.7 minutes.
These are just cents.
That's how much it costs, yeah. Finally, in July 2023, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force seized a hard drive from the basement of the target residence. An extraction and analysis of that hard drive revealed that it contained a Palm Pilot backup file, which appeared to contain, which is crazy to me, a Palm Pilot backup file, which appeared to contain defendant Heuermann's date book or calendar for the relevant dates. The Gilgo Homicide Task Force subsequently hired a digital forensics expert who, by utilizing native Palm software, was able to convert the above data into readable format. Fucking Palm Pilots. Old as shit.
That's crazy.
But, I mean, 2003, they were pretty popular, I guess.
Dude, yeah, everybody's rocking those.
It's just so interesting that this data is still out. It still existed for them to gather.
Mm-hmm.
This should have been destroyed.
Old dude.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. He did collect. He collected electronics, right? He collected computers and cell phones, and so interesting. I wonder if he had like text messages. You know what I mean? And
like
stuff
really
like
text
that.
messages still on
That
his phones.
that he liked to
he's
go
just-
back and review or something.
Dude, probably.
Yeah, probably pictures, I'm sure.
Relives the moment. That'd be a way, because what? You always hear about the serial killers that keep something and they can go back to it and kind of relive that moment and probably.
Imagine looking up a sex worker and texting her and being able to go back and relive that. Oh my God. That's probably a dream for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's probably the ideal scenario. I mean, you've got serial killers who like they steal a little trinket and they hold it and look at it and they remember the whatever fantasy it was that they were living.
Kind of can relive it and
imagine
get off on it again, basically.
Reading actual messages again. Like that's got to be
dude.
more than just having a little trinket.
Yeah.
Serial killers today in this day and age, I mean, whatever their souvenirs are, like this guy, oh my God, it's got to be. I mean, that's like it's almost like jumping from watching a movie to going into VR. You know what I mean?
No, I do.
Like they had this tiny little snippet versus having actual messages and actual like, and of course, you know, video's always been available. People who videoed their crimes, I'm sure, you know, stuff like that.
I think we'll probably still end up. I don't know about videos, possibly, but pictures and stuff I bet are going to be found.
I bet.
Dude. And
I bet,
if you know,
I guarantee it.
Probably be brought up during the trial.
But it is interesting that we're seeing this guy who has gone from like an archaic age in '93.
Yeah, dude.
Moving through technology.
Yeah.
He seems to have collected this technology. That's what it seems like to me right now. He's collected cell phones, tablets, you know, computers. He's literally collected these things.
Yeah.
How else would they have them? You know.
Yeah.
Based on the foregoing, the investigation to date has clearly established defendant Heuermann's wife and children were indeed located out of state during the time of Jessica Taylor's disappearance, which occurred on or about July 21st, 2003. Accordingly, the murders of all 4 charged victims and now the murder of Miss Taylor occurred at times when defendant Heuermann's wife and children were located out of state, which would have allowed defendant Heuermann unfettered time to execute his plans for Miss Taylor, which included here's where it gets ugly: the decapitation, dismemberment, and transportation of her remains, without any fear that his family would uncover or learn of his involvement in these crimes. You gonna take the next one?
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna grab a cigarette.
Okay,
I'll be right back.
The 1993 discovery of human remains of Sandra Costilla on or about November 20th, 1993. Oh, it's gonna block my. It's okay. 2 individuals, while hunting in a wooded area of Southampton in the vicinity of 50 Old Fish Cove Road, North Sea, Suffolk County, New York, discovered the remains of Sandra Costilla. Date of birth 8/25/65. The victim, who had been 28 years old at the time, was laying on her back with her arms outstretched over her head with her uncovered legs spread apart. The victims, again, this is going to be trigger warning stuff, guys. I apologize ahead of time. The victim's shirt had been pulled up over her torso and head, exposing the victim's breasts. The victim had numerous sharp force injuries to her face, torso, breast, left thigh, and vaginal area. Miss Costilla was a native of Trinidad and Tobago, had been living in New York prior to her disappearance and murder. Hairs recovered from the remains of Sandra Costilla. During the course of 1993 investigation, Miss Costilla's body was examined by a forensic scientist with the SCCL, which led to the discovery of 3 hairs from the victim's remains, 1 from the victim's right arm, 1 from tape lifted of the stripped shirt above the victim's head, as well as 1 from a tape lifted of a white shirt above the victim's head. In 2014, well before the identification of Rex Heuermann, a suspect in Miss Costilla's murder, the hairs on Costilla were sent to Forensic Laboratory Number 2, which was able to develop unique mitochondrial DNA profiles for each of the hairs on Costilla. On or about August 1st, 2014, Forensic Laboratory Number 2 received an extract of John Bitrolof's buccal swab. So they had another guy. Forensic Laboratory Number 2 was then able to develop a mitochondrial DNA profile from John Bitrolof's buccal swab and subsequently compared it to the mitochondrial DNA profiles that had been previously generated for each of the hairs on Costilla. At the conclusion of its analysis, Forensic Laboratory Number 2 was able to conclude John Bitrolof and his material relatives as contributors of hairs on Costilla. Recently, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force requested Forensic Laboratory Number 2 undergo forensic testing, specifically comparing mitochondrial DNA profiles for each of the hairs on Costilla, which had been developed back in 2014 prior to Heuermann emerging as a suspect in the murder. 2 known samples provided by the Gilgo Homicide Task Force on or about February 29, 2014, Forensic Laboratory Number 2 issued a report concluding that the mitochondrial DNA profile developed from the male hair on Costilla and the profile developed from the defendant's buccal swab are the same, specifically at a rate that would, as per the EMPOP database, exclude 99.96% of the North American population, again, as contributors based on the foregoing, while 99.96% of the North American population can be excluded, and basically saying this is your fucking guy. Prior to Ms. Costilla's disappearance and murder, defendant Heuermann had been living with a female individual whose identity is known to law enforcement. Witness. During the course of the investigation, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force was able to secure a buccal swab from witness 3, which was secured via her consent. On or about March 24, 2024, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a DNA extract of witness number 3's buccal swab to Forensic Laboratory 2 for further analysis. On or about March 8, 2024, Forensic Laboratory 2 issued a report concluding that the DNA profile developed from witness 3's buccal swab and the profile developed from the female hair on Costilla's share a common base at all compared positions, specifically at a rate that would, as per the EMPOP database, exclude 99.9% 98% of the North American population. Again, a contributor said hair recovered from the mutilated remains of Costilla, while 99.98% of the North American population can be excluded as a contributor for the female hair. Witness 3, who had but no longer resided at their targeted residence prior to Ms. Costilla's disappearance and murder, cannot be excluded as a contributor. On or about March 8th, 2024, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force brought a cutting of the hairs on Costilla as well as the DNA extract of Witness 3's buccal swab to Forensic Number 1 to further an independent analysis. On or about April 29th, 2024, Forensic Laboratory Number 1 issued a report indicating its ability to develop a nuclear DNA profile for the male hair on Costilla. Forensic Laboratory 1 was then able to conduct a 1-to-1 nuclear DNA comparison between said profiles. Directs a Heuermann's SNP genotype file, which resulted in the conclusion that the DNA profile generated from the male hair on Costilla, which was recovered from her mutilated remains, is 4.347 times 10, 332 times more likely.
That's the one he got right.
To have come from a person genetically identical to Heuermann's profile than from the unrelated individual. Forensic Laboratory 1 was able to generate nuclear DNA profiles from not only the extract of Witness 3's buccal swab, but also the female hair on Costilla. Forensic Laboratory 1 was then able to conduct a one-to-one nuclear DNA comparison between said profile. The SMP genotype file developed from the female hair on Costilla, which resulted in the conclusion that the DNA profile generated from the female hair is 4.57 times 10, 1,040 times more likely to have come from a person genetically identical. Based on the foregoing, it is significant to two forensic laboratories have now independently determined that the male hair recovered from the mutilated remains of Costilla is subsequently more likely to have derived from a person genetically identical to defendant Heuermann's mitochondrial and nuclear profiles. Additionally, both laboratories were able to forensically tie Witness 3, who had resided at target residence prior to Ms. Costilla's disappearance and murder, to the female hair recovered on Ms. Costilla's remains. The foregoing provides further support that Heuermann mutilated, murdered, and transported the body of Sandra Costilla to Southampton. The chart below summarizes the results of the laboratory 1 and 2, which each individually have been able to determine the hairs recovered are on now 5 of the 6 charged victims are forensically tied to Heuermann, members of his immediate family, or individuals with whom Heuermann resided, lending further support to the conclusion that defendant Heuermann is the individual who murdered, stripped, restrained, and transported the remains of Jessica Taylor and Sandra Costilla, as well as the Gilgo 4 until they were each discovered in 93, 03, 10, and 11.
I bet a lawyer would, but they should absolutely dumb down those figures. They should be like, if you took every human being on the planet and multiplied it by 500, or it's more than that actually, but let's just say that as an example, only one in that number of people would have this DNA. I hope like regular people who don't like, because you see numbers like that and you're like 4.3.
You can't even register them.
4.347 times 10 to the 332nd. Like, are people even like understanding really how astronomical that is? You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Because it's
unfathomable.
There's literally no way to explain it.
Yeah.
No really good way, because it's so huge.
And right here it shows all the victims. And it shows the DNA results as well. This was posted earlier on Twitter also. Did you look at this, Dan? Did you get a good look?
I wish they would just say it's virtually impossible that it could belong to anyone.
Like that. Yeah, that's basically what. Bob did say it the best. He's like, "This is the fucking guy." Like, you can't say that at the trial, but yeah. Basically, we're saying that's the. Come on, what are we doing here? Heuermann's unfettered. No, reread this. You got one here.
All right.
I've been going.
Heuermann's unfettered access to target resistance during the disappearance and murder of Miss Sandra Costilla. As noted, what's supra? What does that mean? As noted, supra, is that before? As noted before?
Well, maybe. As noted, supra. I can Google it real quick.
Like there's a word with, I'm sure. Somebody in the chat's going to flame me right now.
above.
Supra.
It's a fancy word
As
for
noted
above.
above. Yeah, as noted
Yeah.
before, as noted above. All right.
Somebody's screaming it.
We're not legal experts. That's that legalese, isn't it? Nobody writes that way naturally. All right, I'm gonna get past this.
Those are those special words that they'll just like random while they're having an argument, they'll bust out on you.
make
Like, what the
things
fuck
fucking
did you just say?
confusing.
Bob will do that randomly too. He's like talking and like
yeah.
all of a sudden he's just saying some random ass shit. And he's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yep.
that's some of that college learning, bud.
I mean, I use context. I use context to kind of get the gist, but I just wanted to make sure.
He knew.
As noted
Dan's a smart
above,
fellow.
as noted above, based on post-arrest.
I thought it was a car.
It is a car. It's a fantastic car.
As noted in the car above.
Actually-
That's how I read it.
I actually want a Toyota Supra because they're fucking sick, especially the new ones, man. They're fucking nice looking. Actually, when I Google Supra, that's what I'm seeing now is the Supras. But I typed in Supra in legal. Anyway, let's move on.
Get it.
As noted above, based on post-arrest interviews with witnesses, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has learned that witness 3 and defendant Heuermann began living together at Target residence in 1991. In September 1993, approximately 2 months before Ms. Costilla's disappearance and murder, witness 3 moved out of the Target residence. Prior to witness 3 leaving the Target residence, Heuermann's mother had moved out of the Target residence. Based on the foregoing, neither Heuermann's mother nor witness 3 were living at the Target residence during the time of Sandra Costilla's murder. Accordingly, the murders of all 4 charged victims and now the murders of Miss Taylor and Miss Costilla occurred at times when defendant Heuermann would have had unfettered time. They love this word unfettered.
Yeah.
To execute his plans for each victim without any fear that his family or others residing at the Target residence would uncover or learn of his involvement.
You know what word that ChatGPT loves to throw in when I'm trying to get like anything rewritten? And I hate it, and I'm like, and I always change it. Delve. They use delve endlessly.
Let's delve in.
Let's delve into this. I'm like, God, no!
Let's delve into this topic.
I love it. That's their fettered. That's ChatGPT's.
It's a good word.
I think I'm actually going to start putting don't use delve.
You should.
Newly discovered.
Tell it what you want, Stevie. You have to manipulate it. It's your slave.
It is my slave.
I'm sorry, ChatGPT. Don't. If you're listening,
it's definitely listening.
I didn't mean that. I didn't call you a slave. I'm going to keep going. That was a very short paragraph.
Oh yeah. Keep rocking. That's true.
Newly discovered digital evidence.
Yeah, you got this.
Detailed.
ChatGPT's
I got to
watching.
do something. I got to do something over here. As detailed, and I fuck up immediately. Of course I do. As detailed in Exhibit A, following Heuermann's arrest, numerous search warrants were executed at the Target residence, which culminated in. What is inter alia? What is that? A seizure? What is now? Which culminated in. I'm just going to keep reading. You Google it for me. What is inter alia? Which culminated in the seizure of over 350
Give a guess.
electronic.
Can you get?
Yeah,
a
well, I
file from
wanted
it?
to, but I couldn't figure. Which was accumulated in.
Let me read it real quick. Which accumulated in. Yeah, it fits perfectly with what it means.
Like after,
among other things.
Among other things, perfect. Of course it does. They couldn't just say that, could they? The seizure of over 350 electronic. Oh yeah.
Maybe I'll just throw a little Greek at them real quick.
Right. All right, let's just keep going. I'm just going to start over. As detailed in Exhibit A, following Heuermann's arrest, search warrants were executed at the Target residence, which culminated in, among other things, the seizure of over 350 electronic devices in the months. I didn't
Latin,
take Greek.
Dixie, yet.
Latin. I didn't take Latin.
Not Greek.
Which the Greeks spoke Latin, right? In the months subsequent to Heuermann's arrest, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force has attempted to extract and analyze data from each of these devices. An analysis of these devices has revealed Heuermann's significant collection of violent bondage and torture pornography, currently dating back to 1994. Imagine the amount of work you had to do to download bondage and torture pornography in 94.
Yeah, dude.
Like the internet wasn't really
that doesn't even make sense.
a big deal back then. I don't actually. And now that I'm thinking, because I heard this earlier, but I didn't really think about it, and I just read it, and I'm thinking about it. How the fuck did you even do that back then? You couldn't just fucking go to a website, I don't think, in '94.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Wow. It had to be like chat rooms and stuff, because that's kind of like all the internet was back in the early 90s.
Maybe people getting together and sending each other shit.
Just sending files. But it was very Wild West as well.
That's early though. Yeah, at the same time, you would get away with it back then, I'm sure.
Wow.
That's what's fucked up.
It's just it was very dark web. I mean,
yeah, the regular internet was just like
it was the dark web. You could do fucking any in '94, bro. Like I'm thinking about '94 right now in my brain, and like we were like looking up the weather in school. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah. The most basic.
Was Netscape. Like that, we were using Netscape.
Yeah.
I don't know how the fuck. I don't even know what the internet was like back then. To be honest with you, I'd have to do like a little internet. Take like an internet history class or like watch a little internet history video or something to even understand what they were doing. But I know there were chat rooms back then. Like people, I guess that's what people were kind of doing back then. But even sending files, I think would be like a pretty advanced functionality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. It doesn't make any sense to me to be that year. And
I need to brush up on my internet history and see what the internet was actually like in '94, because that actually kind of blows my mind that he was even able to access that stuff in '94. Let's continue.
Oh, don't you go? Sorry.
The pornographic. Oh no. I was.
Oh, my bad.
I was there. I was
sorry.
There. The pornographic images accessed by Heuermann include, but are not limited to, breast mutilation, vaginal torture. Here's another thing. Porn. All right, so porn before the internet was just videos that you buy from fucking actual physical locations,
right?
Or order out of a.
Or yeah, they had weird magazines, yeah.
But this shit existed like this back then.
Yeah, I bet so, man.
That's crazy to me too.
Like I don't know how the word gets out. Like I don't know how you. It had to be chat rooms, and then you're like, "Hey, man, have you heard about this new?" And it's this fucking weird fucking magazine you order movies from out of Germany. Like that was a thing.
Right.
Like
here's another question I have. In 1994, porn was not as mainstream as it is right now, obviously because of the
how accessible.
Or the internet. Like the internet made it like a actual fucking money making machine, right? Which of course you could make money on it back since the 70s.
It's actually the opposite. Like they don't make as much money now as they used to. Like,
there's
the people that own those servers.
OnlyFans is one of the biggest sites in the world.
Yeah, no, those people do fine. You know, like if you're good, which is a limited amount of people. Well, I'm not going to get deep into it.
I'm just talking.
I do know a lot of weird stuff about porn.
I'm just talking about porn in general.
Just like money. It's from the sex workers in OnlyFans that I know how deep it goes. Like it's. Like if you are like a really successful OnlyFans girl, you can.
I'm not talking about the actresses making a bunch of money.
I'm not either, dude. Like regular people, it's not that easy. Like, and there's still a lot of abuse that's going on. A lot of
the companies have.
Yeah, the companies are still making.
That's all I'm talking. No, that's what I'm referring to. The
okay,
companies.
Gotcha.
I'm not talking about the individuals.
Gotcha. Okay,
of course, they're treated like garbage. They're fucking porn stars. Nobody's giving them any respect. I guarantee
Gotcha.
it.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Which I mean, I don't.
It's terrible.
That.
Now,
I'm saying it's terrible.
It can be unless you control your own narrative. There's tons of good out there.
I'm talking
and it can be good today, but there's also so many dark.
I'm talking about the industry as a whole.
Gotcha.
Being profitable. It's more profitable now than it's ever been.
Right.
The industry. The pornography industry is more profitable now than it's ever been because of the internet and so on and so forth. Actually, I'll take that back. It probably was more profitable in the early 2010s than it is now because of OnlyFans. OnlyFans is probably taking some of those profits away.
Yeah, do you count that as being part of the porn industry? Right.
And giving it back to the individuals, right? But anyway, this is all besides the point. In 1994, I don't think it was a hugely profitable fucking industry, right?
Yeah, I don't understand.
So how is he getting this insane?
And not only that, though, there's this is specifically bad porn, like crazy porn.
Exactly. So how is he getting like real snuff films?
Yeah, like this isn't just porn.
Were they doing were they mass producing this crazy bondage, like breast mutilation and torture porn.
See, that's what don't make sense to me. Yeah, that
Like,
doesn't make
I get them
any
like
sense.
faking it in the modern age because of the internet. But back then, were they taking a chance on making VHS tapes
right.
of
Yeah.
fucking that type of porn and it's not selling? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't get that. That doesn't make sense. So I'm
Yeah, I don't
wondering
know.
if
That
it's
doesn't
real.
make sense.
Is it real snuff that he was getting?
Maybe, dude. Yeah.
It had to be. I almost feel like it had to be.
Yeah.
But they're not wording it that way. They're wording it as it's just pornography,
right.
which it is. But I want more detail. Like,
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it
No,
like
I see
true-
where you're going with it. I see what you're saying.
Was it true like snuff stuff? Because he
Yeah.
was, maybe he
Because
was a
what they're
part of
saying
this-
actually doesn't make fucking sense with buying porn or being able
when you
to
think about
access
the timeline.
porn. Yeah. 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 Like
So-
it's pornographic, but it's probably actually snuff. Like
Yep.
torture and people held against their
He could have
will
been-
and murdered.
He could have been a part of this super.
It's getting really dark tonight, folks. So
seedy-
I do
seedy
apologize, but
well, this is the subject.
this is a
matter,
very
right?
dark episode.
We're
Yeah.
talking about a sick, sadistic serial killer.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's going to go. But I mean, he could have been part of a fucking sadistic, fucking underground, like rink that was fucking sharing this stuff. I mean, this goes deeper than the words that we're reading on the page. Like when you actually start thinking about it, it's in the timeline. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man.
Again, we're talking about fucking 20 years ago, 30 years ago, right? Like you have to wrap your mind around that. If you think about bondage pornography from 2024, well, you can go you can Google that, and it pops right up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In '94, you couldn't just fucking Google it.
Yeah.
You had to know somebody.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And when you knew that person, what were you getting? Were you getting the real deal? Were you getting some actress? Or that's where it gets even scarier. And I don't know if that's something that people actually think about when they read this because of the day and age that we're reading it in. Something to think about.
Yeah, dude. No, you're right on it.
Where was that? The pornographic images accessed by Heuermann include, but not all right. I did read that. I don't want to read that again. The sexualization of decapitated women, bondage, whipping, which notably and largely coincide with how the remains of Sandra Costilla, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack were discovered. And he was using this as motivation. All right, you can scroll down now. This was his fantasy. He was watching this stuff and like, oh, I'm going to go do that now. Moreover, during the analysis of a hard drive discovered from the basement of Heuermann's residence, the Gilgo Homicide Task Force recently discovered a Microsoft Word document titled HK 2002 to 2004. What do you think HK stands for?
I don't know.
Heuermann kills?
Maybe. Definitely what it seems like.
The document was discovered in unallocated space. Allocated space refers to, and this is what I was touching on earlier, refers to data, stored data that a computer is using, files that are viewable and able to be opened by the user. On the other hand, unallocated space refers to available or unstructured data, which is not readily viewable and able to be opened by a user. Unallocated space frequently contains room for new data or old data that has been deleted, sent into the recycle bin, overwritten, etc. For example, when a user deletes data, many users believe the file is purged forever. However, deleting a file only tells the computer that the space previously occupied by that file is now available. The deleted data, the deleted data will remain in unallocated space until another file is written over. Until another file is written over it, data contained within unallocated space can be retrieved via a computer forensic extraction method called file carving. God, I'm going to burp now.
File carving.
Forensic analysis of the HK 2002-2004 document reveals that it was not only a locally created draft, i.e. not downloaded from the internet, but also recovered from a hard drive that indicates it was utilized by Heuermann himself. While the original document appears to have been created in 2000 based on its original title, this iteration of the Word document, so it started out titled HK 2000 to 2003. This iteration of the Word document, titled HK 2002 to 2004, appears to have been created and modified between 2001 and 2002. Based on the foregoing and the facts set forth, that's another one you need to Google for me. The task force, the facts set forth hereof or since, The task force
It means below.
below. Oh, God, why do they do this? The task force members believe 2000-2002 to be a reference to calendar years, of course. The task force members also believe, based on the foregoing and the facts set forth below, the Microsoft Word document to be a planning document utilized by Heuermann to methodically blueprint and plan out his kills, hereinafter referred to as the HK planning document.
Yeah, dude. You nailed
So
that one too.
I think it probably is
Yeah.
Heuermann kills or something like that. The HK planning document begins with a 4-category section with the underlined headings of problems, supplies, DS, and TRG. And I know Jay and his viewers earlier, I can't remember who it was exactly. If you're in here, shout out. But they kind of deciphered DS was dumping sites and TRG was target. Somebody in the chat said TRG was target.
Yeah.
Scroll back up again real quick. So problem, supplies, dumping sites, and target. See embedded excerpt on the, actually maybe it's on the excerpt. So problems. Now this is from the 2002 to 2004 document. Problems that Heuermann identified were DNA, tire marks, blood stains, fingerprints, MO, plastic bag / cat litter. What does MO mean? That, I mean, we know MO as what is it? Drawing a blank. Memoris opera or what?
Something operandum.
Yeah.
Mana. I can't remember exactly.
I'm an idiot right now. I'm sorry. Witnesses, trace sources of supplies. I shouldn't have even said anything because
Modus operandi.
Modus operandi. God,
Yeah.
Lord, thank you. Foot / shoe prints. Photos is a question mark, actually. He put a question mark beside photos. So he wants those photos, right? But they are a problem.
Right. He knows that.
But he wants them.
Right.
And he
That's
wants
very
to keep
interesting.
them.
Yeah.
So that's why he's got a question
That's
mark.
fucking crazy.
He's like, I want it. Like, are photos a problem? Like, I really need these for my collection, but they could eventually get me caught.
Yeah, dude. The way he's thinking about it and that question mark screams.
Misleaders. I don't really know what.
I don't know what that
is.
means.
Misleaders, and he does have some misspellings in here as well. And misleaders, I think, could potentially be one of those, but maybe not. I mean, this guy was an architect, and he has some interesting misspellings. He doesn't have a lot of them, and actually, I don't think it's on this page. That is the one that I pointed out that I noticed earlier. Dumpster locations instead of dumpster locations is one of them, but that's not the one I saw earlier either. But he did spell dumpster right correct up there, so that was probably just a typo. Anyway, let's continue. Police stop, obviously. Truck stuck. Sorry, fingerprints in gloves, which is crazy. He's thinking about that. That's very deep. To think about fingerprints you're leaving inside of the gloves you're wearing.
Yeah, dude. That is some deep next level thinking.
Plastic bags matched to box. Not exactly sure what that means. Gotta keep coughing. I need to take another drink. Hair and fiber. So for his supplies, he had booties, lye and acid, obviously to hide the smell of the body. Police scanner, which he misspelled, but that was probably just a typo. Rope and cord, saw cutting tools, hair nets. So that's his attempt to keep hair off the body, which he failed to do. Photo film. Look, see, he has photos as a problem, but he has to bring photo film. He's got photos.
He's doing
There's
photos.
No way he doesn't have photos.
Yeah, dude, you're right. 100%.
A burn can, foam drain cleaner.
Fuck, dude.
Which is interesting. Body wash / wipes, tarps, drop clothes, medical gloves, bags, tape, large electrical clips, and ratchet cargo strap. And then he's got dump sites. Dump site 1, Mill Road. Dump site 2, he's not sure about. Dumpster site, next time recon, dumpster load. So he only had one site at this time. Mill Road. And he was researching another one. That's why he's got dump site 2, question mark. And he even made a note, let's recon more dump sites. And then he's got target one, Megan, who that's we now know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Small is good. And then I don't what's T-Unk Black? Do we know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
T-Unk Black.
Target.
Is it a person? Is it a person?
I don't know what that
T-Unk?
means. I don't know what that is right off.
Target. So we got target one. Oh, target unknown. Black. So it was a
Maybe
black
he's looking
woman.
for a black lady.
A black woman. Yep. And he said small is good.
Wow.
And he didn't know Megan's last name.
And every one of these females so far
Either
is
he
small.
didn't know Megan's last name, or I guess he knew his target. He just didn't know he was considering Megan as
and where he used prostitutes, he probably frequented her a few times before he actually said, well, this is going to be the one, right?
This is gotta be, I gotta tell you, man, this has got to be one of the more, if you're interested in true crime and like serial killer stuff, like this has got to be one of the most insane documents to
it's
go
fucking
through.
nuts, dude. Yeah.
Like I can't stop, like it's driving me crazy watching this or reading this, because I can't help myself but like try to get in his head, figure out what he's doing. You know? It's so crazy. Based on the Gilgo Homicide Task Force's training and experience, the members believe problems, quote unquote, to be a guide on issues to avoid apprehension. Supplies to be referenced to what supplies are needed to carry out the serial murders to avoid apprehension and to avoid leaving behind DNA evidence. And the DS heading appears to be an acronym for dump site, which is corroborated by the discoveries of Valerie Mack and Jessica Taylor at two separate dump sites and the vicinity of Mill Road and Ocean Parkway under the same heading. Hang on, let me read that footnote real quick. The alterations, other than the addition of call-out boxes where applicable, have been made to excerpts of the HQ planning document. The document is portrayed in the same manner that it was recovered from the allocated space with no change. Okay. Wait, what did I just read a second ago? Under that same heading is a note regarding dumpster sites, which the task force members believe is a reference to how Heuermann disposed of physical evidence in the manner described. See dispose of the following section below. Target appears to be a reference, or TRG appears to be a reference to target or victim. See embedded image below. It is important to note that the known victims thus far are all petite women, which is consistent with the small is good entry in the document, lending further support to the aforementioned conclusion that TRG refers to victims or targets. So here, all right, so they zoomed in on the last document. With regards to the dump site or DS section of the document, it is important to note that the human remains of Jessica Taylor discovered in 2003, as well as the remains of Valerie Mack discovered in 2000, were dumped in two locations. One of those locations being the vicinity of Mill Road, which is listed as DS1 Mill Road in the above Word document. On March 29, 2011, on March 29, 2011, Miss Taylor's torso skull, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little jokey here during this insane content.
Yeah, you're good.
On March 29, 2011, Miss Taylor's torso, skull, and hands recovered near Ocean Parkway. A second dump site on April 4th, 2011, Miss Mack's skull, hands, and right foot were also discovered near Ocean Parkway, also a second dump site. The recent discovery of this document prompted the April 2024 cadaver search of the Manorville area, which did not yield the recovery of additional sets of human remains, thereby reinforcing the task force members' belief that the HK planning document refers to Heuermann's preparations for either Jessica Taylor and or Valerie Mack. The HK planning document on Heuermann's computer then delves in, hey, there's your word, delves into a 3-category section with the headings of pre-prep, prep, and post-event. So he's got, in his pre-prep, he's got vehicle inspection, engage target 1, recon dump site 1, locate dump site 2, weather report.
Like, he wants to know everything, dude.
This is, I mean, it's so detailed and insane. It really is. He wants the weather report, recon vid cams, and recon pick zone for vid cams. And keep in mind, again, this is in the range of 2002 to 2004. that this document it was written for, right? So there wasn't as many, cameras out there in that time period, but that was still on his list for pre-prep. I find that very interesting.
Yeah, dude.
He wanted to make sure he wasn't getting pulled over for any vehicle shit. He wanted to make sure he had his tags, his inspection sticker. He wanted to make sure his vehicle was totally legal. He wanted to engage Target 1. He wanted to reconnaissance dump site 1, make sure everything was cool there. He also wanted to have a dump site 2, I'm assuming in case dump site 1 was no longer a possible dump site, maybe. I'm thinking that's why he has locate dump site 2.
Yeah.
He wanted a weather report. He wants to know if it's raining.
Yeah, he wants to have options, I guess, with the dump sites.
I don't know. Recon pick zone for vid cams. I'm not exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
All right, and then in his prep, he has a setup stage, a holding area.
A holding area separate from the setup stage? That's crazy. Like, that's already so fucking intricate. Like,
build table.
Which, it could be as simple as being right beside it, but what the actual fuck?
Also, what the fuck does build table and crossbar? What the fuck is that for? And then hard point. His prep.
I don't know what hard point means.
His prep is very. Maybe they say it in the document. Hopefully.
Oh yeah, it might.
His post event was destroy files, which he didn't do, apparently.
He wasn't very. Number 1 on your list, you fucking idiot who spelled it wrong.
Change tires is interesting. Smart, right? Burn gloves, dispose of picks. Didn't do.
Did he dispose of picks?
Actually, we don't know. We don't know if there's picks. We don't know if there's picks.
Have story set.
Why would you take?
Is he riding that story now on all these? He's got a story set for each one. He's having to remember them.
Well, here's the thing. Why would you take picks if you're just going to destroy them?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. And then
it's just part of the ritual. Like,
have story set. So hey, I guess this is like, is this after being caught? This almost reads like it's after being caught. Like, if he were to be caught, destroy files, change tires, burn gloves, dispose of pigs, have story set?
Yeah, the have story set part makes it sound like that, but the rest of it doesn't.
So that's what I think dispose of pigs sounds like that too.
Yeah, if he did it beforehand.
Also,
but he can't do any of those things if he's already been caught.
Everything except for change files sounds like it's post being caught.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't fit there is change tires. And it is in italics. If you notice, it's in different font than the rest of them. Yeah, I think post-event may be post the event of being caught. Destroy all my files, burn all my gloves, burn gloves, I guess doesn't necessarily
maybe fit. Somebody is going to be doing this shit?
But 3 out of 5, destroy files, dispose of pigs, have story set, all sound like he's been caught already.
You do. That does, yeah.
But post-event, you would think would be post-event of this singular murder, right?
That's how I took it initially, but you're making me think a little bit more. Potentially somebody else had some information. If I get fucking caught, get rid of the shit.
Let's see what they thought. They're going to get into it, I guess.
You're making me have all kinds of different crazy thoughts.
You want to? I know, like
I'll get sued. So
I'm going through this in real time, and my brain's going wild. You want to take this one? I've been reading for a while.
Yeah, let me get in here. The Gilgo Homicide Task Force members believe pre-prep to be a guide on steps to take in advance of the homicide, inspecting his vehicle, engaging the target, conducting a recon or survey of video surveillance cameras in pertinent areas, including a pick zone, location where victim is picked up, and checking the weather to ensure optimal conditions. Prep, on the other hand, appears to be a reference to steps taken closer in time to homicide, setting up the staging area, holding area, table cross, bar hard point for the victim. Specifically, the prep section has 5 entries: setup stage, holding area, build table, crossbar, and hard point. The Gilgo Task Force members are aware that a crossbar is also often placed underneath tables to provide further structural support for heavier objects being placed on a table. Additionally, the task force members are also aware that a hard point refers in the field of sexual suspension bondage. See, I'd never heard that. let me read that too. Recon. Wait, no, recon is
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that at all. So
To
I'm
a
glad they did get into it.
to a fixed attachment point in the ceiling that supports the weight of an individual being suspended
Hard
off the
point.
ground, which is corroborated by Heuermann's significant interest in pornography, where the subject is either suspended, tortured, bound to a table, decapitated, and or their breasts are mutilated, which is consistent with the foregoing notations regarding suspension, as well as the condition of the victims described herein. And I think we just got an answer right there to if what we were looking at earlier. That's snuff.
Yep.
They mix decapitation and breast mutilation right in with what you would put in with bondage.
Yep.
Additionally,
Well, they mentioned that earlier, but I guess it's possible they could have been faking
that's
it.
crazy.
But I think in '94 that was probably legitimate stuff.
Yeah, dude. He's in some
That's
dark
kind of
ass fucking. He's found some dudes in some dark ass fucking room.
That's kind of the point I was making earlier. Like, I don't think this shit existed in '94.
Yeah.
That you
I
could just fucking get, you know?
Think you nailed that. Additionally, post-event appears to reference a checklist of tasks following the event of homicide to avoid apprehension. Appears to reference a checklist of tasks to avoid that they think following the events to avoid apprehension: destroy, file, change tires, burn gloves, dispose of pics.
So they're
have
saying
said
to
story.
avoid apprehension.
That's
But
what
I
they're
mean,
thinking.
again, to avoid apprehension. So is that after he's like named as a suspect or what? Because
Yeah.
why would you even take the
Maybe
fucking
he's
pic?
thinking if I can get bail.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Right.
man.
There you go. Before they were able to search, he can destroy the evidence. Because I mean, why you wouldn't have this timeline of events for your crime where you're like, all right, here's my preparation, here's how I'm doing it, and then after I do it, I'm going to do all these things. And one of those things, like in your prep, you're like, make sure I got my camera and my film, you know, and then and then in your post, be like, destroy all the pictures I just took.
Right.
You're not gonna do
that makes zero sense. The HK planning document continues to further expound on what is that one?
Preparatory.
Preparatory measures such as specific recon steps taken, packing a body for transport, body prep, and steps to inhibit victim identification and avoid leaving behind DNA evidence. Body prep disposed of the following: recon reports, vid cams on lie route 112 to route 110 equals 33. He's counting the cameras. Old. Notices that they're old cameras.
Hang on.
Right.
Vid cams. Old. Okay. Go on. I'm sorry.
Vid cams on SS Parkway route 231 to exit 30 equals 10 old cameras.
Is
I
he
guess.
noting that they're old? Like they're.
I think that's what he's noting. That's how I took it.
It's like an old style security system. And then again,
That's what
keep in mind
I think he's saying.
This is 2002 to 2004.
Yeah.
So even anything brand new then would be old to us. So
Right.
what is
yeah.
he considering
He's
old?
yeah. It's going to be like some old shit. T1 info cell.
Target 1, that's her cell number.
Yeah. Okay. Target 1 cell number. Oh shit. Beep voicemail. I don't know why he'd put old there.
We're voicemails.
Is the old? That's
cell
the old
numbers?
number. There's 2 numbers. So
Oh, maybe. Why do they all? Yeah, he's got old on. I don't know. That's weird. Maybe she's got. Maybe that's what he's saying. Her cell number, and that's her old cell number.
that's how it looks. Takedown / pickup. Hunt too long. Seen an area too long. Remember, don't charge gas. If he's going to get gas, he's going to pay for with cash. Recon for vid
Oh
cams.
my god, yeah.
Recon for vid cams in pickup area next time.
And again,
Dude, he's way smarter than he has any right to
dude.
be.
Again, in 2002 to 2004, and you're thinking about don't use my charge card, don't use my credit card for gas. Like, I know it sounds fucking.
That's pretty
worse,
early
like,
to be thinking that
it
shit. dude.
sounds smart,
Nah, bro.
but back then, I think that's a pretty smart thing. Like, you'd have to be a little bit advanced.
Yeah. Body prep. Wash body inside and all cavities. Remove trace evidence, fingerprints, hair. Remove trace DNA. Remove ID marks, tattoos, marks. Remove marks from torture. Remove head and hands.
So wild, dude.
Package for transport. Dispose of the following tools and devices. Target 1 clothes and personal items, drop clothes, wipes and towels, props, toys, wood items, anything that touched Target 1, what you wore, destroy book and computer files, burn gloves, dispose of box of plastic bass to avoid trace. The body prep.
Bags. He's had a
I'll bet that is plastic bags to avoid trace.
bag.
The body prep section
Dude, this
includes.
is so insane, though. I mean,
It's
I'm
so
sure
intricate,
there has to have been another serial killer who had like detail like this come out, right? There had to have been.
Yeah, I'm sure there is somebody else.
Can't think of
Not-
any off the top of your
Not
head.
off the top of my head right now. I'd have to do a little bit of searching.
This is so
There's
crazy.
a lot of stuff out there from BTK.
Right,
not-
of course. Yeah. He had a
But-
lot of notes and stuff.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's so new. It's just, I don't know. It's fucking blowing my mind, though.
Yeah, dude, it's insane, dude. The body prep section above includes a note to remove head and hands, which clearly relates to the condition of Jessica Taylor's and Valerie Mack's remains, as both victims were decapitated and dismembered at their arms below their elbows. Additionally, each of these victims' remains, as well as the remains of the Gilgo 4, were indeed packaged for transport, as this section indicates, to go further increasing the significance of this document's presence on Heuermann's laptop computer. Finally, the section also includes a note to remove ID marks tattoos. As noted above, the examination of Miss Taylor's body in July of 2003 indicated numerous sharp linear injuries to the victim's skin, specifically around where Miss Taylor's tattoo had been located, which investigators believe was intended to inhibit the identification of Miss Taylor's tattoos, and therefore Miss Taylor in the manner of consistent with the HQ planning document. Furthermore, the dispose of the following section lists destroy computer files as a checklist item. The presence of this HQ planning document in unallocated space demonstrates Heuermann's efforts to destroy or delete computer files in a manner that is consistent with this notion. As set forth in Exhibit A, a consistent theme of Heuermann's computer activity is the use of forensic wiping software in a manner that is consistent with this notation in the HQ planning document. In the Things to Remember section, there are notes indicating steps to take next time, considering a hit to the face or neck next time, or using heavier rope for the neck, or the light rope broke under stress of being tightened. Heuermann further
Jesus Christ.
opines on the importance of sleep to not only avoid problems, but also to increase what Heuermann refers to as playtime. What the fuck? It's so crazy.
Sound travels. Birds outside control the amount of air in and out to control the noise made. Get sleep before the hunt too tired creates problems. Hit harder, too many hit to take down. It's just Neanderthal speak. He must have fucking like wrote this like right after a fucking adrenaline rush, right?
Dude, probably, yeah.
Hit harder, too many hit to take down. Consider a hit to face or neck next time for takedown. He sounds like a fucking Neanderthal on these. More sleep and noise control equal more playtime. Use push pins to hang drop clothes from ceiling. No tape. Use heavy, spelled wrong, very wrong, rope for neck light rope. Yeah, use heavy rope for neck light. What the fuck is this? Use heavy rope for neck light rope broke under stress of being tightened. It sounds like a fucking Neanderthal wrote this when you read it out.
Yeah.
This had to be a fucking adrenaline tightening.
I bet you're right there too, yeah. As set forth above and embedded here below, the Gilgo Task Force members believe these references to next time indicate Heuermann's prior experiences and what changes to implement moving forward. Take down / pickup, hunt too long, seen an area too long. Remember, don't charge gas, recon to vidcams and pickup area next time. Moreover, the references in the Things to Remember section.
I feel like these are kind of real time. He had things synced up to his Palm Pilot. So.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I bet he's literally sitting there typing this shit out.
Dude, this is
like and trying to I can do better next time.
Crazy, man. Like the fact that they got this too, and this was a deleted file, and they got this, and this file was from fucking 2002 or 2003.
That's insane.
3 or 4 or whatever. That's fucking crazy.
That's insane, dude.
The fact that they recovered a file that's 20 years old from any hard drive, because again, like I explained earlier, you delete a file, it goes into like they explained too, it goes into unallocated space. But you write enough new shit to that drive, it's gonna get overwritten and it won't be recovered by anybody.
Yeah.
But he wasn't using those drives then. So he deleted some shit, and I don't know what he had on those drives, but he was putting them in storage, never using them again.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy, man.
Dude, this is insane.
Moreover, the references in the things to remember section to utilize push pins to hang drop clothes from ceiling and not tape, as well as manifested concerns regarding sale and travel, indicate the referenced incidents would have occurred indoors and likely inside the target residence. I bet when they presented this to him today, he's like, what the fuck? Which is a controlled environment that Heuermann would not only be familiar with, but also an area where Heuermann would have access to said tools and supplies. Drop clothes would also serve the twin purposes of limiting the spread of forensic evidence such as blood to a confined area, as well as controlling sound travel, which would lead to more playtime, which is believed to be a reference to sexual and mutilation acts. What is that? Perpetrated on the victims. Additionally, when Heuermann's family vacationing out of state, defendant would have had unfettered, there that is again, time and exclusive access to target residents, allowing Heuermann ample opportunity to execute and clean up after these crimes.
So he was doing this at his house.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, his family's out of town or whatever. And yeah,
and he had a table. He said build table, and he had the hanger. What was it called? The hard. What was it called? The thing they described as the BDSM thing, the hard something.
Yeah. I don't remember what they call it.
He built these things in his house, specifically for this.
You want to take over a few there?
Finally, the HK planning document on Heuermann's laptop computer includes a notes section. And here they are. Spur of the moment. Cover, ? Stockholm Syndrome. Jesus Christ. Wait, so if he's thinking about Stockholm Syndrome, and I know that every time I start reading his own notes, I fucking start breaking off into my own thoughts, but if he's thinking about Stockholm Syndrome, and I know, Stevie, you're probably trying to get this fucking show over with.
No, you're good, dude.
It's already gone 2 hours. It's 11 o'clock. We got work tomorrow. But if he's thinking about Stockholm Syndrome, he's got to start. He's starting to think about keeping these people. And he has a wife and kids at home.
Yeah,
so
dude.
Where does that play?
That's a very good point.
Because if Stockholm Syndrome doesn't just happen overnight, that sets in after probably at least weeks, if not months and months of time, with your captor. So
yeah, dude.
I don't. All right.
Could he have had another location where he had people?
There you go. So the more you do, the more clues you give. Okay, that's true.
That's pretty straightforward.
Look at the painting. Why? What? Why? Who?
Is that a painting? Hold on, let me Google that.
Look at the painting. What? Why? Who?
I'm gonna Google that.
What are you Googling?
A painting called What? Why? Who? I'm gonna see if it's a painting.
Oh, he's got it in quotes. I think he's asking what? Why? Who?
Yeah, I don't really understand it.
Yeah, he's asking the question what? Why? Who? But I don't know. But I don't think we know what painting he's referring to.
Yeah, nothing really popped up either. I was gonna be like, is this something specific? No, it's not.
Maybe they go into that later, but I don't know. Look at the let's see, organized versus disorganized. Page 162, sex substitution. Page 163, page 175.
Mutilate.
That's not a word. Equals disorganized. I guess mutilation equals disorganized.
Yeah.
So that's dude. I think he typed some of these things with an adrenaline rush or something.
It makes sense, man. It looks like that.
Something. He's in a different state of mind. Painting is referred to from the book he was read. So that book, they're saying, Chad is saying, the book. You know what I'm talking about? The book, this one. All right, well, here we go. They say it right here. The investigation to date has
Oh,
established
yeah,
that
yeah,
Source
yeah.
of These Notes is the Mindhunter paperback book authored by John Douglas, specifically the first edition published in 1996. Wait, are these notes from after? I'm sorry, this is 2002, 2004. I'm stupid. Concerning the criminal profiling of serial killers. For example, the notes section of the HK planning document includes the following notation: page 162, sex substitution, page 163. Page 162 of said book does indeed reference sex substitution, penetration with an object, as Douglas describes the rather horrible sexual mutilation and masturbation over time of the victim's body, but no intercourse. Administration with an umbrella and pen were acts of sex substitution. On page 163, Douglas opines that the perpetrator of such a crime, sex substitution, would be a disorganized killer who would be compulsive and perhaps living with his parents. Scroll up. He just says organized versus disorganized. Okay, never mind. Go back down. I'm wondering where they're getting that from. I'm wondering where they're getting the living with his parents quote from. Accordingly, this notation contained in the HK planning document is consistent with, and let me read this footnote too. John Douglas is a retired special agent and profiler from the FBI who spent over 25 years in the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit. During his time with the FBI, Douglas interviewed over a dozen serial killers. So this guy's a serial killer expert, basically. And he wrote the Mindhunter book. Okay.
Yeah, did you ever watch Mindhunter?
Oh, the show on Netflix?
Yeah, it's the dude from that was made about. Like
I've seen the show, but
yeah, like that team is what he was originally a part of.
They based it off of his books.
Yeah, his real life. Like
right. Oh, wait, is he in the show? Is he one of the guys in the show?
Yeah, he's the main guy. Like
gotcha. Okay. Yeah. No, that show is cool.
That show is amazing. I wish it would.
They did a really good job.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't realize.
You remember in the show they went and interviewed them people, and yeah, that's who he was.
Very cool. Okay, so that's him. All right. So accordingly, this notation contained in the HK planning document is consistent with the aforementioned book in page number and subject matter. The notes section of the HK planning document also includes the following notation: page 175, mutilation, disorganized. In page 175 of the first edition Mindhunter book, Douglas describes a woman's screams and shortly thereafter how the woman's throat had been cut and her naked body mutilated. Douglas further asserts on page 175 of said book that mutilation is a sign of disorganized personality type. Accordingly, this notation contained in the HK planning document is again consistent with the aforementioned book in page. Okay, so he's not saying it is disorganized. He's saying he's referencing the book, which is saying it's a disorganized personality type. Wow. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, this is deep.
He made it fucking so clear, right? Go back to the notes again. Okay. He doesn't mention the book. How did they figure that out?
Well, they did find that book at his house.
Oh, okay. There you go. All right.
Yeah, we're coming up on that too.
I thought that was really cool that they just like figured it out somehow.
It is still putting a puzzle together. Like it's crazy.
It is true. Yeah. The notes section of the planning document also contains the following. This one's I'm curious about. Look at the painting. What, why, who? On page 19 of said book, same book, Douglas notes that while he was still at the FBI, he always advised his agents. I bet people in chat, and I'm not reading chat, but I bet they're losing their fucking minds at me, like, and us sitting here asking questions, and they already know the answers because they've already read this document.
Probably.
They're like, it's a fucking book, you idiots.
Probably.
All right. On page 19 of said book, Douglas notes that while he was still at the FBI, he always advised his agents, if you want to understand the artist, the perpetrator, the artist. That's so interesting. So this guy, the FBI agent, is calling these people artists. But based, there's a painting, right? I'm sorry. Oh, no, you're good. You're good. You have to look at the painting, the victim. What the fuck are these words? Holy shit, this is crazy. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Is this crazy to
This
you?
is crazy, yeah.
The way he's wording? I'm talking about Douglas.
Yeah.
The guy, the FBI agent. Why would he word this that way?
Yeah, that is crazy.
I guess like these people that see this all the time, maybe they don't see them as people anymore that often. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy to say the serial killer is the artist and the victim is the painting.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to say that. All right. You have to look at the painting of the victim. We've looked at many paintings over the years and talked extensively to the most accomplished artists. Accordingly, the note above containing Heuermann's laptop computer, look at the painting. So look at the victim. Yet again, points to the aforementioned book and the source of Heuermann's. So he says, look at the victim, who, what, why. So so Heuermann, in his mind, is thinking like, all right, this is my victim. Who are they? What are they? Why am I choosing them?
Right.
Maybe something like that.
Right.
According to the note above contained, yet again points, blah, blah, blah. Finally, the other notations contained in the HK planning document, spur of the moment cover Stockholm syndrome. What does that say? Oh, it's just saying what Stockholm syndrome is. The more you do, the more clues you give, are also each contained in said book, all pointing to it as a source of Heuermann's notations. Wow.
Here's the book. One of the books. I don't think
I get that it's a metaphor, but it's just like, all right, so think about fucking Bob Motta tweeting out that an artist versus, an artist in a painting. You know how many people on Twitter would flame him for saying those words?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, do you see what I'm getting at, Tiff
100%.
I understand it's a metaphor, but like thinking like especially in today's terms, you say things like that, people fucking take it personally. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, we live in completely different times for that kind of language, actually.
But it's so interesting even to say it, even back then to me, to say it that way. But I also, I truly think that like these professionals, like lawyers even, and of course police officers and FBI agents and things like that, man, they see this stuff so often that they do see the world differently.
Mm-hmm.
They see victims differently. They see, and then, I mean, honestly, they probably have more empathy than anyone else does. But it's different because of the way they have to look at the world. They're forced to look at the world in a different way. I don't know. It's very.
No, Chad is like completely disagreeing, I think, which is hilarious because I totally don't agree with him. The few people that are talking to Chad, like Tiff and Brooklyn, are saying that like, I mean, they're sticking with the metaphor thing, which I get and why it is a metaphor. But if that was happening today by anybody on Twitter just talking like that, they would be roasted.
No, they for sure would.
It would be insane.
But by a certain
Lakota, thank you.
By a certain group of people. I mean,
yeah.
Everybody.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
All of you probably wouldn't, because you guys.
That's a good point. That's a good
part
point.
Of the family, like we got.
And people
have
make shit out of nothing endlessly. Like they would take something like that as like a moment of like, yes, let's cancel somebody, an adversary.
And I want to be clear that I'm not fucking hating on John Douglas for saying that. I just thought it was interesting.
It's super interesting, and I like that you're explaining yourself. Yeah,
I thought it was interesting the way he explained it. I'm not saying that he did it in a bad way. I don't know. The world is a crazy fucking place these days. You really have to watch goddamn anything you fucking say, which is insane. Like, you should be able to say things and not be scrutinized over every fucking word you say, first of all. But
yeah,
that's why I don't tweet.
Dude. I'm with you.
It don't matter. You could say something completely innocent and have a couple of words misplaced, and whoop, everybody hates you now.
Yeah, I like being able to actually talk about stuff, and I mean that's what Public Buzz is actually about.
The thing is, people don't talk to people as if they're people. They talk to them as if they're fucking just the computer, basically. Yeah.
If in real life they would not be.
No, they don't see another person on the other end. That's the problem.
Yeah. All right. The foregoing is corroborated in part by Heuermann's possession of other serial killer books authored by John Douglas. During the initial search warrant execution in July 2023 at Target residence, the task force observed that Heuermann possessed in his home office the book entitled The Cases That Haunt Us, which outlines the facts, evidence, and victimology of several notable serial murder cases. The Gilgo Homicide Task Force members believe that the totality of circumstances surrounding the HQ planning document, including Heuermann's attempt to delete its existence, points to it as Heuermann's self-education and homework on the topic of carrying out serial sexual murder. Heuermann's pointed concerns regarding 1, avoiding being captured on a video surveillance, 2, leaving behind forensic evidence, 3, what supplies to purchase, 4, how to package a body for subsequent transportation to dump sites, wash body inside and all cavities prior to package for transport, 5, avoiding a paper trail trying him to crimes and or crime scenes, 6, concerns regarding noise and or air travel which could inhibit playtime, 7, how to improve next time, further confirmed merely by looking within the 4 corners of the document itself. It's relevant in this regard. This belief is further corroborated when looking at a litany of external factors. Pulled that one out, including how the 6 victims now, and there's that word that you know, what was it, attributable to Heuermann, were indeed packaged and transported, and in the case of Miss Taylor, how her head, hands, and tattoo were removed and were obliterated, consistent with the document's instructions. Furthermore, an analysis of Heuermann's computers confirms that HK planning document was an unallocated space and has since been deleted, which is consistent with not only to destroy computer files notation, but also Heuermann's established use of forensic wiping software. Penalties if convicted on the current charges. Heuermann faces multiple sentences of life without parole. Remand without bail is appropriate. Based on the serious, heinous nature of these serial murders, the strength of the people's case, the life incarceration the defendant faces upon conviction, the extreme measures the defendant took to attempt to avoid apprehension for over a decade, a defendant's indictment on these additional charges, which now incorporate a 5th and 6th victim, the people remain steadfast that the only means to ensure the defendant's return to court is to remand the defendant without bail. Absolutely.
Apparently, according to Jay, they have the death penalty in New York, but they never use it, so he probably won't get it. But
yeah, I don't think they're going to be doing that, right?
He needs it.
Yeah.
I vote DP. Double
shit, I tried to hit it again. Lakota, thank you for the $9.99. She says, thanks for this. No, thank you. I tried to pop it up, and I forgot my shit wasn't working. Thank you so much for coming through with that. I appreciate that.
Fucking long. This is a good Thursday night. Good long Thursday night.
This is a good one.
I showed up, so things got serious.
Yeah, baby. Real quick, hold on. I want to go through my things because we've been tied into this tonight. I want to make sure we get all these taken care of. Dixie coming through right out the gate. I think I called that one out. Buzzed and confused. Welcome in here. Hell yeah. Laura came through after that with a $9.99, and she said she was tapping out early. Laura Bo, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Pammy came through with a $4.99. Who wants to board the PB train? Thank you, Pammy. Absolutely amazing. Cat Crow then represented 6 months in this motherfucker. Thank you very much, Cat Crow. Halfway.
Happy anniversary.
And then Kelly, I didn't even see this one. I'm glad I looked at this. Kelly, welcome to being buzzed and confused also. Got some members out of this tonight also. Welcome in, guys. And keep an eye on stuff because I've got some cool things planned that I want to do membership only for. Membership and Patreon only. And it's going to be specific and different. So keep an eye on that. Gail then gifted out a membership. Holy shit. And then Lakota came through with $9.99, which I just called out. And then Gail just hit us one more time with a $5. Woo!
Very sweet.
What a night. Yeah, dude. What a night, dude. Yeah, you came back to the party on a Thursday.
Yeah, I did some grilling. Enjoyed my porch or my deck, I should say. I enjoyed my own deck and had a few brewskis tonight. So we came in hot.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm actually completely sober tonight. Yeah, no brewskis.
And we had some super interesting stuff to cover. So man, I'm hot tonight.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. This one is gonna only get darker. This is only gonna get fucking crazier.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think, man, this is fucking. Sure. This one is. You kept having your mind blown live in front of everyone's faces.
Exactly.
It's fucking insane to actually wrap your head around. It's almost unfathomable to wrap your head around.
And there's gonna be more. Guarantee it.
Like it's fucking.
I'm probably 85 to 80 to 90% sure there's gonna be more victims. I mean, attributed to this fucking ogre son of a bitch.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, actual human Shrek.
Dude, ogre there's no better way to describe this.
Yeah, he is the most ogre looking dude. For sure.
Fucking yeah, I don't know.
Um,
He was. I'll give him again. I hate to give him credit for anything, but I think he was
this
pretty
plump
smart.
son of a bitch. He's
He
getting
was pretty
fatter in
smart.
there.
He was pretty smart, and I mean, he had money. Architect.
Yeah, dude. Recipe for disaster with this fucking guy.
He was able to afford to fucking get caught in his avalanche truck, and then immediately, a couple weeks or a week later, or immediately after he found out his truck was identified. Oh, I'm just gonna go buy another one.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think all serial killers in history had that luxury, right? They were actually typically pretty either average or poor. I think if you look at them.
Yeah, dude.
How many fucking wealthy serial killers were there?
What was that one guy's name that owned the hotel, though? Holmes. But also, he owned a fucking hotel that he killed people in. So, I don't know if you know that one. That one's from like the early 1900s. But
Oh, that's the guy. They made a show out of that guy.
yeah,
A fake show, but a show.
That one dude in South Carolina that they found the chick in the like a cargo container or something on his property, and he owned large amounts of property, and I don't know how rich he was, but he just had a vast amount of property, and he would leave Amazon reviews on like tools he would buy, and after he got caught, they ended up finding those reviews, and he would say like some fucked up shit like, this one didn't hold her tight enough. Like,
Holy shit.
and you can still find those reviews too on the products.
Was
Like,
it one?
it's
Did he
crazy.
only have one kill though?
No, I think I don't remember the guys. Not have to do too much searching right now, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he was an actual serial killer. Like,
Oh shit.
well, yeah, even the chick that they found him on, like they got to his residence because he put in an ad. He needed someone to clean their house. She gets there with her boyfriend. She said as soon as he got out of the car, shot him dead immediately. Put her in a fucking thing, and was just using her as a sex slave.
Jesus.
I remember that guy's name, Todd, the Amazon reviewer, or something like that.
Todd, the Amazon reviewer.
There's some sick fucks out there, man. I always think about the ones that haven't been caught, though. It fucking freaks me the hell out. Because this guy wasn't caught until very recently.
Dude, that is 30 years.
30
Maybe
years,
more.
dude.
Maybe more.
It's not even talking about the elite fucks that are doing
There
crazy
could
shit.
be. Well, see, we can't talk about them because
Getting wild,
they don't.
maybe.
They're basically fucking phantoms. They don't exist. Their crimes don't exist.
That's true. That's true.
And they never will.
So, tomorrow night, what are we doing? What are we doing tomorrow for Fell
Having a
Friday?
good time.
Well, yeah, Mm-hmm. I like that.
That's all we need, right?
I don't know whether we're going to be watching a movie, watching a show, listening to some tunes, be doing something. I usually kind of just like started out with whatever catches my attention that day, or if nothing does, we end up listening to tunes or something.
That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll fill it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I better get off here though. It's getting a little bit late. Yeah, dude, this show was crazy.
I mean, I could sit here and talk about Rex all night with you guys, but Stevie doesn't give me unfettered access to the channel, so I got to go when he goes.
Yeah, Dan's in on some Rex Heuermann, so
Sorry,
if we
I
get
just
some
wanted
news.
to, I just wanted to use the word unfettered in some
Oh,
context.
you son of a bitch.
I actually prepared that. Like,
Yeah, there's his name, Todd Colip. Everybody's naming him out now. Thanks, guys. Yeah, that dude's fucking crazy. Dude,
Unfettered
Todd,
is
the
gonna
Amazon
be-
reviewer, also knocked off a motorcycle shop. Oh, dude, yeah, I forgot about that part of it. She killed a bunch of people in a motorcycle shop. Yeah, it's a crazy story, actually.
Oh, I think I know about that guy. Yeah, the guy that killed all those people in that motorcycle shop. Yeah, I think I know about that. Like he
Okay.
walked in and fucking shot him.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
just, yeah.
I know that story. I didn't
Okay.
know that he was an or maybe I did and I forgot. I don't know. But I did know about that. Unless somebody else walked into a motorcycle shop and shot up a bunch of people.
There could be more.
Um,
Yeah, he's a American sex offender, mass shooter, and serial killer convicted of murdering 7 people.
Okay.
But yeah, he just walked in like a motorcycle shop and killed a bunch of people
Yeah,
dead.
I
Like
know
they
that
pissed him
story.
off or something. Like,
Yeah, I know that story. Yeah, I've seen that, but I don't remember anything else from that he had done. I thought
Yeah.
it was
Well, we didn't find out about that until we found out when he found that girl. Like,
Mhm.
and they were
Right.
like, So that part of it stuck with you. You're like, wow, that is pretty wild, though. He just walked in, he's murks all these people. So
I'm gonna try to start using unfettered as much as AI uses delve.
oh my god, unfettered is the new delve.
Yeah. Word of the day.
That's a shirt.
Word of the week, even. Word of the month.
Unfettered
maybe?
is the new delve.
We'll see.
All right, fucking oath, guys. Thanks for hanging and banging here tonight. Feral Friday tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to start right here on YouTube. We'll hang out for about 20-30 minutes before we head over to Kick and fuck around for a little while, watch something, do something, getting into the weekend, baby. That's what we're fucking doing. Let's get through this Friday. Let's get the hell out of here, Dan.
Shoulders, baby.
Let's do it. Later.
Night.
This burns